and commence with the regular meeting. Apologize for the delay. It was more interesting than we thought it was going to be. So at this time, I will ask everyone to please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. And remember our veterans and those who went before us as we get ready to celebrate Memorial Day. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Vice President Ferryman.
Bow your heads and join me in prayer to give our board the insight and courage to make all the right decisions for this district. Amen.
Amen.
Do you need another roll call, Madam Clerk? You would please?
Director Arthur Perry.
Here.
Secretary Arlene Schaefer.
Present.
Vice President James Ferryman.
Present.
President Michael Schaefer.
Here, and the record reflect that Assistant Secretary Uton is not with us this evening. Okay, Scott, any late communications?
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. We did have one from Mr. Mosier, which I put on the dais with you, and Mr. Mosier also spoke to you regarding those issues during the public comment period, right before he went to the closed session.
Thank you. We do have some ceremonial matters. We're pleased and proud to recognize the members who participated in the Citizens Environmental Protection Academy. So I will come around, and as I call your name, have you come forward and receive your elaborate certificate. Once again, all of you, thank you for participating. It's a new venture for our district, and I think it was a huge success. So with that, I would like Rachel Levine to come forward.
So that can be last meeting.
Am I supposed to say save your applause till the end, or can I stay right up here with us? Are you going to do an individual?
Okay.
1, 2, 3.
You?
Good job, Richard. What do you think, John?
No.
Good to meet last meeting, too.
Open it up when we present it instead of just, if you'd like another picture later.
Yes.
Congratulations. Thank you.
Go to the center. Just
Oh, to be a Hollywood sign.
Here we go. 1, 2,
Is it because of our finger? Should I have something like this off your finger?
It shouldn't. It should work with our finger. This is moving and this isn't.
This is more difficult than it looks. George Bird? George, come on up, buddy. Congratulations. Thank you.
there you go. Over here. 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
Oh, God bless you. I don't really know him by this name, but I'll say it anyway. Arthur Goddard. Hope you don't stand as close to me as you do to the girls. Good shower. Okay, well, congratulations.
That's great. There you go. 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
And the better half of the Goddard family, Mary Ellen.
One, 2, and 3. Look over here. Thank you.
Hold it. Film. Shirley Frodes. Congratulations and thank you. Appreciate your participation.
1, 2, and 3. Thank you.
That's one. There she is, Sarah Mooney. Sarah said she was a little kid.
Thank you. 1, 2, and 3.
Thank you all again very much for your participation, and we look forward to the next one.
Do we ask if anyone would like to speak about the experience?
Just to-
Absolutely. If anybody would like to make a comment or tell us what they thought about it? Anybody?
I'd like to thank you for putting it on. I learned an awful lot,
Well, we do too.
and I hope you, I wasn't able to get into one of them for the CR&R. I'd like to get into that one at the next one. And I would love to see you add a tour of the, aerobic digester,
Yeah.
anaerobic digester.
I think that'd be great.
I know it's a bit of a trick, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's well worth the trip.
It's well worth the trip, and we appreciate that, Jordan,
In
very much.
August, we do it again.
Sarah?
Yeah, I posted about it on Facebook, and the number of people that want to attend the next one was just overwhelming. They really, really were interested. It's fantastic. And if you can get school kids out there too, even better. Thank you.
I'll never look at a toilet flush the same way.
Hear that, ladies? We were successful.
Yes,
We got our
you were.
guard
Mission
to admit
accomplished.
that he looks at the toilet.
I wish I recorded that.
Thank you all again very much.
Thanks so much.
Can you say that again?
Sure. I'll never look at a toilet flush the same way again.
You're a natural, Art. You're a natural. Okay. Public comments. This is the time set aside for persons in the audience to comment on items within our jurisdiction not listed on the agenda. Anyone wishing to speak under public comments? Seeing none, we will go to the consent calendar. Any questions or anything on the consent calendar?
move it.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the consent calendar as presented. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4-0 with one absence. Public hearings, we have no public hearings before us tonight, so Scott will go right to your report, the general manager's report.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have one request, and that is if we can move item number F2 up on the agenda.
Want to do that now?
Sure.
Okay, then we'll
That over to Rob.
move to F2. Rob?
Yes, thank you. Good evening, Mr. President and board members. We are once again discussing the issue of 1585 MacArthur Boulevard that we discussed at the last month's study session. And we have Jeff Reese from CJ Segerstrom here tonight. I believe that the board looked favorable on extending the length of the quitclaim of the CMSD sewer and easement to accommodate the new building design that CJ Segerstrom is building for itself. So we have both an indemnification agreement and a quitclaim deed to execute tonight with the recommendation from staff that it does meet all the conditions. Alan Burns has reviewed and has approved to form both of those documents. I have looked at them as well. Mr. Reese from Segerstrom has, as well as their counsel, and the documents are signed and executed by Segerstrom at this point in time. So we also have the second half of the recommendation is to have the general manager seek reimbursement of engineering and legal fees to date, and Mr. Reese has been apprised of that amount, and he's willing to commit to the board upon being asked that they would refund the district all of those fees. So that was the second portion of the recommendation. Mr. Reese is here to answer questions if there are any.
Any questions for staff of Mr. Reese?
Did we figure the amount of money that's going to be reimbursed to us? Just for,
Yes. You want to explain that, Steve?
So currently it's about $5,900, but we still have one more invoice we need to add into that. But you're aware of the cost, $5,900.
50.
It shouldn't be too much more than that. Cool.
Sounds good.
So those covered the expenses for legal and engineering for the round one documents that were set aside, and then the revision to both of those. That is what the board is considering tonight.
I'll move for approval.
We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Call for the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4-0 with one absence. And I think we're finally done.
All right.
Thank you for
It'll
your
be a
patience.
good project.
While we're in engineer's report, you want to go ahead and talk about item 1 while we're here now, Rob?
Yes, thank you. So item 1 is the monthly capital improvement project status report, and the yard is in progress. We're still waiting for the lettering to be added, and then the yard will be complete. And other than that, things are moving along well. In some projects in design right now.
I gotta tell you, open space is one thing, but what was done and what was the way we presented that and done it, I think it looks a lot better than the way it did before with the old gas station there. So everybody that participated, I think, did a fabulous job. It looks great. It really does.
Thank you. We had a great team working on it, as we do on all our jobs.
Art?
Last meeting, I brought up the idea of the landscaping outside in those trees. Did we pursue that at all?
We don't have the money for this point, but we'll plan on putting some landscape maintenance there in the future.
I think the landscape's okay, but the trees are kind of ugly.
Yes.
You know, I think if we trimmed those up and made it look really nice.
Sure.
But I drove by the other day, and they put most of the vehicles on that new lot and opened up parking for on the
Right.
other side.
Yeah.
It looks really good.
Yes, all the generators that were stored for a while at the city corporation yard are now at the yard. Looks great.
Yes.
And they keep it nice and neat. And our existing building out there is LEED platinum, and it just looks brand new today. So it does show a lot of pride out there.
Sure does.
Field crew's been doing great.
Good way to put it. Okay. Anything else? Thanks, Rob.
Thank you.
I'm going to back up just a minute because I overlooked something that was right in front of me. We're going to go back to public comments, and I know it's a consent calendar item, Mr. Mosier, but I'm going to give you the opportunity. I missed your card, so you had indicated a desire to speak on consent calendar item number 11, and I forgot to pull it, so we'll go ahead and let you make your comments.
Thank you, President Schaefer and members of the board. My name is Jim Mosier. Yes, at the end of the written comment that the general manager mentioned, I submitted about the district election question. I also commented on this consent calendar item, and the spirit of the comment was to try to get the district to do a little better in its transparency about what decisions are being made on the consent calendar. That this item is listed on the agenda as approving a fourth amendment to an agreement with Roger Faubel Public Affairs. Generally, when you look to the staff report, you expect to find some further clarity about that, but the staff report tells me only that you're being asked to make a $60,000 commitment towards an extension of this contract based on recommendation of an ad hoc committee. It does not explain what the ad hoc committee is, and neither the staff report nor the contract explains what the $60,000 will be used for. So I think in the future, the public, especially if you're getting more people interested in your meetings, would like the staff report to be a little bit meatier and explain what's going on. And as to this ad hoc committee, I should explain that the general manager did send me back a detailed explanation, which is very good. Would have been nicer if it was in the original staff report. The ad hoc committee, I have two comments about that. Number one, when you appoint an ad hoc committee, it might be good in the name of the committee to include what the committee is about. Just having ad hoc committee is pretty amorphous. And second, this particular committee was appointed in 2016, according to the comment I got from the general manager. And it has to do with the Mesa Water takeover matter. And I wanted to point out if the need for this consultant goes on for a long time and the ad hoc committee goes on for a long time, at some point the ad hoc committee is no longer an ad hoc committee because they're supposed to be formed for a particular use. And when that definite need ends, and it should be kind of anticipated when the committee is appointed, when it is expected to end. And this one, it appears, is maybe just kind of open-ended and going on forever until the situation with Mesa Water is resolved, which it may never be. Thank you.
That item was approved under the consent calendar. Do I need to entertain if someone wants to revisit that item, or it's been approved, we just move forward?
Unless anyone wants to change their thinking about it, they could always reconsider it. But
is there anybody that needs to reconsider this? Okay. With that said, then we will move to the general manager's report. And the consent calendar will stay as approved.
Thank you, Mr. President. So the first item on the agenda is approving a rewardings idea submission by Steve Cano, wastewater maintenance superintendent, in the amount of $100. He submitted the idea of taking all the information that we maintain on our pump station maintenance program, which is right now maintained on a spreadsheet, Excel spreadsheet, and that includes like our inventory, our maintenance records, everything we do on our pump stations on spreadsheets. Steve's recommendation was to take that data and put it into the CMMS, the Computerized Maintenance Management System, so that when staff is out in the field, they'll have that information on the tablets. So therefore, they don't have to print up paper, or they don't have to go back to the yard to look up stuff. It's all there at the tablets. So we believe that was a good recommendation that will improve operational efficiencies, and that's why staff is recommending $100 to Steve Cano.
Questions for staff?
Has that program already been started? Are they doing that right now?
Yes, and I do mention that our consultant EEC Environmental is doing that at no additional cost for us. We can absorb that in our contract.
So EEC is doing it for us?
He's doing EEC is doing it for us right now. Yes.
So we don't do it ourselves?
No, EEC is doing it for us.
That's good. I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
$100.
Motion is second to approve the $100 reward to Steve Cano. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4-0 with one absence then. Okay. Item 2.
Thank you, Mr. President. So this is regarding the business homeless survey results. To refresh your memory, back in November 2017, the Board of Directors approved a pilot program to address the limited amount of public restrooms for the homeless population as a result of some of the public restrooms being closed. The board requested a partnership with the city where we would pay half of the cost. So the city discussed this issue on February 20th, and the majority of the council approved the program in concept, but they wanted some more information before they proceeded. They wanted to survey the business community, see is this something they really wanted to. So staff or CMSD took the lead on the survey, and we hired a consultant, Gavello and Associates, who is the consultant we hired for the survey for about $4,400. And then there was a committee that was formed that consisted of Councilman Stevens, myself, our consultant, other city staff members, and when we tried to identify the businesses that we want to focus on, where all the homeless population may be impacting those businesses. And we picked the streets of 19th Street, Harbor, Victoria, Wilson Street, and Newport Boulevard between 17th and 21st Street. With the city's assistance, we were able to obtain 600 businesses that had emails. And then the committee formulated some questions. It was a short survey. You have those attached for you, those surveys. It was less than 10 questions. We emailed the surveys out with a cover letter that was signed by both me and Tom Hatch, the city manager, encouraging business to complete the survey. Typically, when you do surveys, you're lucky if you get 30% back. That's the goal. You want to get 30%. But if you get 10 to 20% back, you're still doing all right. we got 48% back. 48% back was phenomenal. I've never seen a survey with a return ratio that high before. 48% was unbelievable. So that was the good news. The bad news, if you want to say that, is it looks like the business community does not support this program. As indicated in the staff report, 49% of the respondents believe that a supervised public restroom will not alleviate the homeless population. 38% of the respondents believe that the portable restroom is a horrible idea. Another 48% said that supervised public restrooms near their business will not have a positive impact on their business. However, the survey does indicate there is an issue with the homeless population and businesses. I mean, 80% indicated that homeless population is affecting their business. So at the very least, the city can take this data and maybe use it for the Homeless Network Solution Committee, and maybe that committee can work together on finding some solutions or some help alleviate the problems with the businesses. But because the businesses do not support this program, I'm recommending that we do not continue with the program. My recommendation is to continue work with the city, work with the Homeless Solution Network Committee on finding solutions for them. But at this point, I believe the program is dead, is my opinion. So happy to answer any questions for you.
Have you reported back to the city the same findings?
Yes. Yes.
Who was that with, Mr. Stevens?
Yes, I sat down with myself and the consultants, sat down with Councilman Stevens, shared it with him, then I shared it with staff. I just saw an email from Tom Hatch last Friday, I think. He sent it out to all the council members, a copy of the survey, so they have seen it.
Okay, that's what I was getting at.
Yes.
So the council members know.
Yes.
Is someone from the city going to announce that at one of their meetings to the public that comes?
I don't believe so. I think the way the email was sent is that it's really up to the council if they wanted to address it or not. If they don't want to address it, then they're just going to say it's a dead point. It's dead as well. So I don't believe they're going to. But
well, we have Luke here to help us out. So.
Questions?
No, that was what I want to make sure that council knew.
Well, you know, it's hard to believe that the return on that survey was at 40%, and most of it was negative and weren't receptive to any kind of solution.
Yeah. It was surprising. I have to admit it was surprising, or at the very least, I was hoping maybe, okay, if this is not an idea they prefer, then what other suggestions do you want to make? We didn't get any other solutions.
What do they think it is? Is it going to go away on its own?
I don't know.
Yeah. Sorry, it's here forever. So, but I agree with you. We should just drop it at this point.
Yeah, I think that's probably the consensus of dropping it. But even though we were labeled not just idiots but freaking idiots by a council member, I'm really proud of this body, especially Jim Ferryman, for taking the lead on this. I mean, it is a problem that's not going to go away simply. It's very difficult. Everybody struggles with it. I am surprised with the survey being so negative and everything, but I'm just proud that we took the humane approach and looked for alternatives that could make people feel a little more worthy or whatever. So on a personal note, Jim, thank you for bringing this to us. I think it was an ambitious plan maybe, but it was one that I wholeheartedly supported and think it's a credit to us and especially to you, Jim, for bringing this matter to us. So I guess at this point, unless there's any other direction, then we'll put it on the back burner. Okay. So thanks for the report and thanks for the result. The $4,400 we spent in the survey, the city volunteered to pay for any of that? I didn't think so. Okay. Then we'll go to item G, the treasurer's report. Mark, you're on.
Thanks, Mr. President, board members. This is your quarterly review of your investment portfolio. As of April 30th, the portfolio was earning 1.619%. With a duration of 783 days, or a little over 2 years. This is the first month in a really long time that our earnings rate on our portfolio actually fell below what LAIF's earnings rates were. LAIF's rate as of April 30th was 1.661%, and their duration is much much shorter at only about 6 months. With the purchase of the property on Fairview, with the purchase of the additional property for the district yard, we've kind of been staying on the sidelines from investing, really looking at, as maturities come up, can we replace those securities back out into the market? Looking forward, we are entering our dry period now. We anticipate that about $5.3 million will go out over the next 5 months, and we have $5.5 million that's sitting in LAIF, plus $1.4 million in maturities that's going to happen during that period of time. So we'll be fine during that dry period. Mark,
I'm sorry to interrupt, but for the benefit of the public, do you want to talk about just 30 seconds about why we call it a dry period?
Sure. The revenue of the district comes in 2 major tranches with the receipt of property tax. As citizens pay their property tax, there's large chunks that will come in through the district's annual charge, as it's all on the property tax bills. And so we get big revenue that comes in the March-April time frame, and then again in the November-December time frame. And that's really it from an income flow standpoint. So once we get past that April time frame and we're into mid-May now, we're going to see really no additional big revenue that's going to come in until the November time frame. So we refer to that as our dry period.
Sorry to interrupt you, but I thought it might be.
No, that's good.
Yeah, sure. I do want to point out that at the end of March, when we had a couple securities mature, we were able to pull those dollars together and place our first investment out that is earning 3%. First time we've hit the 3% mark, and I can't remember the last time we had a 3% security. So that was pretty exciting. That's really it. I really don't have anything else on the portfolio. Happy to entertain any questions you may have.
Oddly enough, at my SDRMA board meeting earlier in the month of May, we had our investment folks there, and they painted the same dismal picture that everybody's thinking about. And one of the things that kind of came up, side conversation, was remember several years ago we talked about how people were getting more into the foreign investment market, and it seemed like our investors for SDRMA are backing away from their steering clear of that. We've never really gotten involved in any of the foreign stuff, have we?
We have not as of yet. A few years back, you had authorized adding supranationals to the portfolio, which are the ability to invest in securities issued by the World Bank and other global organizations. So that's an allowable investment. We have not yet taken advantage. We've kind of been monitoring over the last couple years, but have not yet placed an investment with a supranational.
How is CalPERS doing?
How is CalPERS doing?
For us.
Well, we don't invest in CalPERS. No. CalPERS being the retirement plan for state and local government employees, but we're not invested in CalPERS.
Any other questions for Mark?
No, I've just
this is an action item, so we'll need a motion to approve the report.
Move for approval of the report that was presented to us.
second.
Motion is second. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion also carries 4-0 with 1 absence. Okay. Counselor, anything to report?
I do have a little story to report. We have in many cases, we have an easement deed in which, as you know, we have some of our sewer lines go across private property, and they need to be cleaned and maintained by us. And we had an easement deed going back to maybe the 1950s, and Rob and Scott and the crews had to maintain that line and go on private property to do their maintenance work. And otherwise, the regional board takes a dim view of us not taking care of things. And we asked the homeowner's cooperation to do that. And the homeowner said no. He wasn't going to let us go in the backyard to take care of it. So we actually had to go get a warrant from a judge. So Alexandra Halfman of our office went and obtained a warrant, which basically, even though we have the right to go do this, there's this thing in English law called the curtilage, where if you have a gate around your property, what's behind the gate is your castle. And even though government has a right to go on there, you have to get a warrant to go beyond that curtilage. So we had to get a warrant. We went on the property, and then the owner relented, said, okay, the judge said you can go here, so he let Steve and our crew go back there, and they did their maintenance, and then we had to do a return on the warrant, which you go back to the judge and you report. We executed the warrant, and so it's just like, you know, a cop kind of a thing, and we had to go through that whole process. And it's not unique to this district. I mean, for Vector, we have to do it to go back and inspect for mosquitoes, and cities do it all the time. But I think it was the first time we've ever done it for the Costa Mesa Sanitary District. So just thought you might be interested.
Did we give him the opportunity to share in the joy of the expense?
That was my thought, Jim. I was thinking the same thing.
We did not, but we may be coming to you about possibly finding a way to shift the burden on somebody who caused. We have many ordinances that say if you cause us a burden or damage our property or something, then you have to reimburse the district. But it wasn't broad enough to cover that situation. But we may come to you with an amendment.
I think that's appropriate. I'd like to. This went on way too long. It should have never. Did he have some kind of attractive nuisance or something in the backyard he didn't want us to get hurt on, or it was just
not sure?
Knowing the individual, he just dug his. I mean, I'm sure his principles were involved.
I just was curious with Rob, how long was the crew there after getting in?
They were there a few hours. The problem really is that he and his neighbors have encroached into an easement that's supposed to be for access. So we couldn't get to the sewer line because of him and his neighbors encroaching their backyards too far, and that prevented us from going through the access.
Yeah, and I like to thank Al.
Does that become a city problem with encroachment or not?
There was encroachment into an easement, and the city doesn't need to get back there, just we do.
Just us?
Yeah.
Okay.
We're the only ones with a line through there.
Okay.
And if it got to it, we could have the easement, the encroachment removed.
Right.
There's a process for that, but you know, this sort of thing happens fairly frequently, where somebody builds a fence over a line and it causes you a problem. Usually, the owner's cooperative and lets you go back there, but in this case, we had a guy who said, "I'm not going to, you know, I have my rights. I'm not going to let you go in my backyard."
I want to thank Alan and his staff for working with us and getting the warrant. Like District Council said, this is our first time we've ever done it, so it's kind of like learning as we go. And fortunately, also our code enforcement officer, Ed Roberts, who's also a police officer, he's been involved in a lot of warrants, and so he knew the proper procedures about posting, and he was also very good in deflating any kind of confrontations. He's really good at that. And so it worked out really well. So, but I think the board made a very good point. We will come back with you with a revised ordinance. I think that's one way to change their behaviors and hit it hard, and that's where hit it in the pocketbook. And so we'll come back with that in a later time, definitely.
What was the cost of that warrant?
The cost of the warrant?
I mean, the whole process.
I don't know. I'd have to put it together. But you know, it took us 3 times to be there. We went the first time. He said no. The second time we went there with a letter from District Council saying it's our easement. We need to be there. He said no again. And so then we went a third time. And if it said no a third time, then we would have come back with a forced entry warrant. And so we were that could have been But fortunately, it went the right way. So it was all good. Just took us a little more time.
We'll make sure we have that ordinance amendment before the next routine maintenance.
Good call.
Is that, how often is that, like once every year or?
Yes, once a year.
Once a year.
Okay. Anything else? Then we'll move to meetings. Jim?
Orange County Sand District. We had our election yesterday, and we have the same president and vice president, and that is Greg Seaborn from the city of Fullerton is the chairman, and David Shawyer is the vice president. He's from Stanton. Both really capable guys. They both were in that position last year, and they did a heck of a job. So they're in for one more year. And one other item that came up was, we were negotiating on that property right across the street from that we had acquired from our existing property campus. And they just, we kept negotiating with them, and we just couldn't get them down into a reasonable area of price. And we quit. We made a motion to withdraw our offer, and the offer was for $18,600,000, and I think it's worth about $1.5 million if it's that, or 15, I should say. Anyway, that was it. We're back to the drawing board on that one. We do have options though, but it's not fun.
Oh, so your offer was $3 million more than the value?
No, the value, we had it appraised, and it came in at that level. Okay. And we offered them, it was like 18 million, and they wanted 19.
I hope someday I'm at the point where I can negotiate over $1 million.
Yeah.
Ain't gonna happen. Art, sorry.
Okay, that was the meeting right before our 5 o'clock meeting. We were only there, Jim and I attended about 12 or 13 minutes, and because we had to be here at 5 o'clock for the meeting. But what we did learn was we had a phone report from Washington from Jim McConnell, our advocate, and he was pretty excited about the House of Representatives has increased the budget for the Corps of Engineers to $2.323 billion, which was an 11% raise. And the Senate part of that, they increased, they went for $2.161 billion, which is not quite the 11%, but the Corps is going to be able to, but they've only allocated $15 million for the Santa Ana flood control, or for the Santa Ana River projects. But with the extra money that they're going to have, they're going to be able to allocate money back to our agency. So it was pretty favorable. And after that presentation, Jim and I left.
ISDOC, I didn't attend the board meeting, but I will report that I attended the Orange County Council of Governments meeting today as a representative of ISDOC. And the main focus today was a report from OCTA on some of their future plans. We also elected a new chairman and vice chairman for OCOG. Stacy Berry is the vice chair. She's replacing Art Brown. And the president is Chuck. I can't remember Chuck's last name.
He's from Tustin.
And Chris Murray, from Anaheim, gave a very nice speech about her process. It was kind of a sparsely attended meeting today, but it's interesting to have that many government people sitting around trying to make a decision, which doesn't really happen. So that was the gist of it today. CSDA, Arlene?
Yes. I did go to ISDOC.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, thank you.
And they did the same thing, trying to look into LAFCO a little more as far as how much we should pay. And they finally decided, well, it won't occur this time. It's a little too late.
Yeah.
So they're going to hold it until, next time. But they want to bring it back to the committee. At least Mr. Fissler said he'd like the committee to look at it. So that's that, on that. So it'd be a third or whatever.
Right.
So, and I've been doing the battery program, and like some of you have too, and it's so neat to do that because it's so rewarding. The school is so happy, whatever amount we give them. They are so excited about it. And then I try to explain to them that, hey, right after this, you guys get started again, and you can even make more money. And they all get set, and the parents are sitting there, It's really kind of a fun thing.
I will make one recommendation to all of you. Next year, I'm not volunteering for Woodland School.
Really?
One of you can do Woodland School.
Why?
I've done Woodland before.
There's no place to park.
Well, that's why
I had to park all the way out by Kaiser School and hoof it over.
Just park in
Oh my gosh.
You can park in the handicap.
That was good.
We're pretty full.
That's good exercise.
It was good, actually. But you're right. I mean, it's kind of odd, though. You know, when I was in grammar school, all the teachers looked really old. I'm standing there the other day looking, thinking,
I got younger.
I got kids older than these teachers, and even the principal. So the kids, you know, I said something about thanking the parents for collecting the batteries, and one little kid in the middle of the crowd goes, "I did it myself." You know, it was. They are really cool.
Yeah.
So thank you for saying that.
So I just got back from legislation days up in Sacramento with Gina and Nalani, and it was a success. It was a great organized legislation. They did a little different so that, you know, you really got a lot out of it. And then we got to go to the Capitol several times and talk to the legislators. And it was really worthwhile to at least know what topics there are, and Gina writes them down too and does our opposing or actually whatever we want out of it. So it was really good turnout of people, and it was
A lot of great pictures on Facebook. CSDA does a good job with their Facebook page.
Yeah.
Did Harper give you a tour of the Capitol again?
Who?
Harper?
Oh, no, he didn't have too much time on that, but
Because that was really nice when he did that for us.
Yeah, that's cool.
yeah, he did that. That was last year.
You need to remind Assemblyman Harper that when he's indoors,
Uh-huh.
he shouldn't wear a hat.
He said he has to because he said everybody knows to find me. I'm the one with the hat. That's what he says. So, you know, what can you say? And then let's see, what else? On Ledge Days, there was something else I was going to say, now I forgot. I'll think of it. Anyway, the last thing was that I brought the fire chief over from Costa Mesa today, and he had an opportunity to tour it, and we met with Scott, and Scott kind of gave him the lay of the land too, and he was so impressed with this place. He couldn't believe it. He was really surprised, and he just said, you know, and we told him we'd like to, you know, partner up with anything we can do or how we can help him. And it was really a great time for him. He was shocked. And I'll be bringing him back, going to the Wilson site, you know, and we'll be able to see, you know, the lead building and our new addition that we just have. So he was very, very impressed.
Make sure he invites us to the opening of the Royal Palm Fire Station.
He is going to.
Oh, is he? Okay.
It's
Let's get close.
Closer, yeah.
It's getting like, instead of July, it'll be August or September. But it is getting there. Yeah,
Close, yeah.
definitely.
Very good.
Those two restaurants are going to open at the same time, probably.
I'm sure you're right. Yeah. From the Special District Risk Management Authority, we had our board meeting earlier in the month, and again, the main focus of SDRMA is replacing our CEO. We hired a consultant to do the search, and that consultant's going to be talking to interested parties, board members, staff, to see about getting a new CEO. In the meantime, we appointed an interim CEO. I may have mentioned this before, but she is the former city manager for Elk Grove. City Council in Elk Grove decided to go in a different direction, so they gave her walking papers, or whatever. But we had a chance to meet her and interview her a little bit, and I think she'll handle SDR. I think the nice thing about SDRMA is even with this transition between CEOs, there's no change to what's happening in terms of the insurance and the risk management area. It's going to go very smooth, and there won't be any problems. We had a report, like I said earlier, from our investment folks, and we're going to take a little bit of a loss this year on that, and part of that has to do with our loss history, especially in the workers' comp area. But we are not going to have a raise in our workers' comp rates. There's going to be a slight adjustment in the property and casualty rates, but not a major thing. And things are, again, moving on pretty smoothly with SDRMA.
Yeah.
So.
And with CSDA.
Yeah. We reaffirmed our partnership with CSDA, and I think there won't be any won't be any notice of anything. So, okay, any other meetings that we need to?
Just a quick thing, most of us went to Waco, and they had Dwayne Whistler from the Jet Propulsion Agency, and he's the chief scientist there, and he talked about atmospheric rivers, which kind of was over my head. There's a lot.
They are over your head.
I know.
The atmosphere.
But they get all this information from the satellite images, and they test the total water vapor in the atmosphere, and it helps determine where water vapor is going and how you get snow, ice, and water. But then in the book from Waco, for Costa Mesa, the average rainfall is 11.75 inches. Last year we had 15.78. This year we've only had 3.37. So that was kind of not heartening, but that was what we did at Waco.
Okay, no old or new business this evening, so we'll go to oral communications. I had a couple real quick comments, and the first one I think is probably more for you, Rob. A good friend of mine is here in town. He just moved to Nashville, Tennessee, and they live out in the country, so to speak. And we were talking last night. Tony's retired from Molten Lake Arrow Water District. He was their backflow guy. And he was telling me their sewer system that they have, they're not on a septic system back there, but they're on the system where all their wastewater goes out towards the back, and it goes into a tank. And all the solid waste migrates to the bottom, but the liquid stays on the top. And when it gets to a certain level, it overflows and goes out into, a leach field, and percolates through sand and everything.
Yes.
And then it goes into the underground water system.
Wow.
They have an aquifer.
They must have some kind of aquifer. So I just, with all we do over here at OCSD, and to think that they have this system, I said, well, what happens when the solid gets too high? The county comes out and cleans out their system. No charge to the resident. They just.
That's like pumping an intercept.
Okay. But the way Tony knows, because he, again, it worked for Molten Lake, and he was explaining all this stuff, and I'm thinking, that's crazy that they can't do septic out there because the terrain won't allow it or whatever.
Right.
So.
Is that at personal residences?
Every personal resident has that. In
It's
this.
kind of a leach field.
Yeah. And I said, why don't they just put a sewer system in? And it's too expensive to go in.
It was in Tennessee?
Mount Joliet, Tennessee, or something like that, where he lives.
What happens when it freezes back there? I mean, not that it does that all often, but that might put a cramp.
It might hurt things. He told me they had this much snow this year; it was gone in a day. The tornadoes as well.
Oh,
that would worry me. So, and the other comment I had, and I hate to be a stickler on this, but we got to do something about Monroe. Whatever's going on Monrovia Avenue on the Monday trash day. I talked to Nabila the other day. I got another message from the community activist that lives over there. Their green cans are getting missed constantly. He didn't say anything about that individual guy, remember, that we talked about a couple weeks ago? But apparently this person called CR&R and got the runaround and got treated not very nicely, according to him. So please talk to CR&R and have them give some special attention to Monrovia if we need it.
What day is their pickup?
Monday pickup, I think, right? Yeah. So I appreciate you guys looking into it.
Should have our code enforcement guy down there double checking too.
Actually, he has been there.
Yeah, I know. That's what I mean.
And he was explaining, if you remember, the part of the problem is it's right on the edge of the two pickup zones. So I don't know, maybe drivers are not getting the message. So anyway, I appreciate that. Any other directors, any comments?
Back to that question, does Dee know about that problem? Have they done much to alleviate it?
I think the last time they said they had a new driver. That was the issue. New driver.
They must have a new driver every other week there because Chris texts me constantly to let me know about it. Okay. Anything else? Any other comments? I wish everyone a happy Memorial Day.
We have another meeting next Thursday, right?
We have the Citizens Advisory Committee meeting, which will be our first public hearing.
We heard on it.
Oh.
We went to the first one.
Actually, yeah, thank you, Arlene. We had our first Citizens Advisory Committee a week ago tonight.
Yeah.
And one of our members is here. I thought it was a really good meeting. You guys set it up well. We do need to make the table a little bigger, but I already told you that. But the input and the interest was outstanding. I mean, you can tell these folks want to be involved and they want to make a difference with it. They elected Mike Carey as the chairman of the Citizens Advisory. And personally, they couldn't have picked a better chairman because he's vested in this. And I don't remember the name, Al Graham? Al Graham is our vice chair. And I'm excited. I think we have a group of people that aren't just going to, overlook things.
They were very excited.
When do they have their next meeting that's not with us?
Well, we're going to.
It's what?
Yeah, and the primary purpose of their meetings, like we talked earlier, is to get the public hearings out there for the district meeting. That's their main. We gave them that as their main focus. So, but I think Mike will steer them pretty good to the recycling stuff as well.
So we're posting this as a regular meeting for next Thursday, so we can all attend? Okay, because we didn't have it posted for the last meeting, so only 2 could attend.
Yeah, we did. Oh.
No, I'm talking about for the board. No, I'm talking about the last meeting.
The one last Thursday.
Okay.
Okay. All right, thanks, Arlene, for reminding me of that.
Yeah.
Okay, there's no other comments. We're going to adjourn again to closed session. Public Employee Performance Evaluation, Government Code 54957, General Manager, and also existing litigation, Government Code 54956.9, Costa Mesa Sanitary District versus Mesa Water District. Okay, with that, we will adjourn to closed session. I'm going to bring us back into open session and report that the board has given me direction to negotiate with our general manager on his performance evaluation, and we will bring that back in the July board meeting. Okay?
Is it June or July? June.
That's what I said, June. So if there's no other business, then we are adjourned.
All right. Good job.